I think I got it. I think I got it. Here, I'll more smoothly fade out that music that is totally just from YouTube. I think you can hear me now. I see levels in my audio thing. I think this is good. This is actually working. Just before stream, I was like, I'm gonna play some other music here that is not this. Just some game stuff. Yeah, we're streaming about some Battlesnake stuff tonight. So it's been a little while. Here, I'm just gonna close some things. Yeah, it's been a little while, so I'm out of practice with my stream. I have a cat nearby who is probably gonna jump on me any second. But I think we're ready to go. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, Battlesnake is a little loud. I can definitely. It's very epic too, eh? How is this? There we go. Let me know if it's a little bit loud still. So what is Battlesnake? Here, I'm gonna move this window around. And why do I do this every year? Why do I do the stream? Cool. Sounds like the audio is sounding good now. Okay. Yeah, so with Battlesnake, what is it? It is a programming competition that this company in town called Send With Us, Dispatch, that I work for. We do this contest every year. I've been part of it, I think, for this will be my 4th year all around. Yeah, and so first of all, if you want any information about Battlesnake, the place to start is just battlesnake.io. In the past, you had to go to more GitHub pages, a bunch of different places, but I think this should work now. And then we also have a docs, Battlesnake.io, and this has a bunch of 0 to snake instructions, and I'm actually gonna, in one of my streams, maybe tonight or maybe next time, I'm gonna go through 0 to snake on macOS and actually cover these steps just to make sure that well, to go through what it's like to actually run and start my own snake. I'm just gonna put up my be right back slide for 1 second as I move a window around. I had some notes I wanted for this. And I think you can still hear me with this up now, which is what I was trying to go for. Oh, is the audio out of sync? Oh no. It could be my laptop isn't super great with this. Let me just see. Let's see here. I'm just moving some stuff. I'm not even running any snakes yet at all, any battle snakes. So let's see here. Just moving some stuff. Battlesnake stream notes. Here we go. Show my desktop rather than actually here you can see I have a green screen behind me. Just there you go. Yeah, okay. So let's start with what Battlesnake is, and we'll just go to the website. It is a coding competition. And actually, no wait, I have something even better for this. I have this whole slide deck that we can check out. I think I can see that I'm off in the video. I think this might be my camera. Shoot. Hey, Cranky Joe. Actually, anyone in the chat, I'm assuming you can hear me and the video is a little off sync. If I just turn off my my camera, maybe this doesn't matter. Video capture, here we go. Is that enough? Can you see and follow along with what we got here on the screen? Yeah, everything's slowing down on my computer. I normally would have streamed from like a gaming PC, and trying to do it from a coding PC has been an interesting exercise. It's very fun. Yeah. So, a couple of relevant things here. Actually, this video is always good. I'm gonna just stop this very chill music. I can enhance the site after if I need to. No autoplay. Oh, is the volume down?
Alexi Snake.
I've heard a lot about Chicken Snake. Apparently Chicken Snake is a thing. Dave and Anil.
Better than Alexi Snake.
I love Chicken Snake. It's so absurd and it does so well for how stupid it is.
Yeah, this is fun. Question, is the audio out of sync with this video? Or is that part?
So everybody has built these AI snakes, and then it's like the snake game, right? So it's put on a grid board, just like the regular snake game. You eat food, you go longer, you smack into something, you die. But we put a bunch of snakes on the board at once. And I think what's exciting is, depending on the bracket, some people have been working on their snakes since the start of today. Other people have been working on their snakes for years. You know, they've started competing back in 2013, 2014, and they've just built better and better snakes since. So that's why we have the 3 tiers now.
It's a real fun way to get engaged with programming. So during the opening talk, I asked how many students there were.
This part's working. I'm getting some chat just noting that the audio sync with my face was a bit out of sync, and I actually think it's my camera is being really dumb. So I'm just gonna leave that off for now. It's not like it's really helping that much. And I've seen this video a million times, which is why I'm stopping this much sooner. If anybody wants to watch this video, it is definitely all on our website. But let's see, this is giant. I'm just make it bigger. We got a couple of divisions this year. We've got some good sponsors, including actually GitHub, and yeah, let's just keep moving. I want to just go to the 0 to snake. Actually, to the tutorial. So, what is Battlesnake? I love this one. So if you've ever played Snake before, this is Snake. This is the original game. I don't know if it started on a Nokia phone, but this is it's known for being on Nokia phones. I remember having this on my calculator. And so the purpose of the game is that you play Snake. You are creating one of these snakes. And if anybody is in the chat and you've done this a million times, let me know. Just like throw a note in there. If anybody has any questions and I'm going too fast through this, also feel free to throw notes in there. That's what this is all about. Yeah, and so day of competition, what we do is we run this thing in the event center, or in the conference center here. Big competition. Everyone comes in at the start of the day with their laptops. Some people come in fresh that day and are just coding, but in the video, as I was playing earlier, I think they were mentioning briefly too, there's certain folks that have been building their snakes for many years now. And so everyone comes together and plays on tournament day and for some prizes. Let's see here, what else? So yeah, this is what it looks like. And this GIF is gonna restart any second now. There we go. The snake's all on the board. Playing, and it looks like we've got some features this year where we're showing the way that you died. That's kind of nice. Health. I'll just let this play out. Yeah. I'm not sure what the difference is between these two. I think one was an earlier revision. I'm gonna keep moving. I actually and this is kudos to everyone that I work with. They put a lot of work in this year. Actually, not just folks I work with too. There is a whole open source component to this, so I wanted to touch on that tonight also. But yeah, there's been a lot of work that's gone in over the last year or so, getting everything running here. I'm just putting some music back on. It's quieter though. Here you go. Yeah, so jumping around a bit, we have tournament divisions this year. So this is the tournament. As I was saying earlier with the different brackets, you have folks that may have started building their snakes in years past, and they've evolved it a couple times over, and they're building this year. They're probably good candidates for the expert, the higher brackets, but then you also have those folks that are just like building new snakes for the first time. They've never responded to an HTTP request before, and that's totally where the beginner bracket comes in. So we try to make sure that the contest has something for everyone, but there's a couple of options. So we have some smooth jazz to talk through this. There's also bounty snakes, and this is super fun. On the day of the competition, the bounty snakes are built. They're sponsoring teams, other companies throughout town that have built snakes in the past. Sometimes the bounty snakes, sometimes in the past, have had special rules. I don't know if we're still doing that this year. Yeah. Okay, so here's the meat of it. Here's what this game is, how it all works. Keep your snake alive, last snake alive wins the game. So, let's go through each of these slides quickly. So, the game of snake, you control the snake, and what's going to happen is every round you get to make a choice of which of the directions it's going to go, up, down, left, or right. And the rounds are played pretty fast. They just go in the background, keep sending requests to a server, and we'll get into that in a second. But the basic mechanics of Snake are something... it's like Snake. It's like the Snake that you know and love. So like, step one, you have to stay on the game board. You can't leave this game board. You also can't collide with Snake's tails. And the tail is anything beyond the head, I guess. So like, it's not just tails, but bodies, any part of the snake. There is one caveat to that rule, though. A snake can have a head-on collision. Let's see here.
It's 7:50.
So head-to-head collisions follow different rules than previously mentioned tail collisions. In head-on collisions, the longer snake will survive. So this bottom snake was longer. Head-to-head, it got to keep going. These are good GIFs. I like these. These do a good job of illustrating what the rules are. Like my easy listening music here. Head-on collisions also, the only thing is that if they're both the same size, yeah, you don't want to hit somebody because then everyone dies. Don't starve. Every turn snakes will lose 1 HP. If HP reaches 0, the snake will starve. And so just keep in mind, every turn is considered like one move here. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 4 moves all around. That's this TypeScript snake only had 4 life. And so the moment you eat food, you're just back up to 100. You don't have to eat food in increments to get back to 100. You're just full health again, and then you can go another up to 100 turns before you need to eat some food. So you can kind of avoid people, but you can't avoid the game entirely. Yes, yeah, here we go. 1 food pellet adds a segment to your snake's body. Cool. Okay, so technical details. Let's see here. And let me know again if the audio is weird or whatever. Configuring some things on the fly. So how does it work? How does Snake work? Snakes communicate with the game servers over HTTP. You will write and deploy a web app. So how does it work? Each team provides a unique URL that responds to Battlesnake API commands. So it looks like this. This is our servers, the game server itself. And what you'll do is you'll create your own Snake server, and other players will create their own servers. And what happens is every round the game server is going to send a message to your server, and your server is going to respond with the direction to go. And that's what's nice about it. It's elegant because it's simple. So your Snake server that you're creating has to respond to these 3 commands. We will make a post request to start, and that will signal the start of the game. And that's just, that call is used for getting some information about the board or initializing your snake. I think you can return your snake's name or color at least in that call. So there's a couple of things there. And then the post request that is submitted to the move endpoint this post request will contain all of the data for any round of a given turn, a given game. And at the end of that, it's, at the end you just respond with the direction up, down, left, or right that you want to go. So, and then post end, this is useful if you want to track the state of the game at the end. So this is just going to receive a call when the game is over. Okay, so post start, yeah, we'll send you the game ID, height, and width, and then you get to respond with, let's see, your avatar, so you have a little image that represents you, and then you have some tail types and some colors and stuff. This will let you decide what your snake is going to look like. Turn the cool tunes down or up. I'll start with down. There we go. It's really hard to balance it because I can't hear what you're hearing. Tail types and things, and down. Yeah, here, let's take a look at that. Actually, let's come back to that. I'll tell you where the tail types, I think it says pick from the docs, so I'm certain that the docs cover it. And I'll come back to it, definitely make a note. And then post end, we'll send you the game ID, the winner snake ID, turns completed, and the list of the dead snakes, and you don't have to respond with anything there. And I was actually asking earlier, I don't know how cool these tunes are, but they're free, so that's nice. The bouncing around a bit, the end call, yeah, I wasn't sure earlier if submitting it at the end call, if you responded with something like a 500 or a 400, what effect that would have. So that's a fun thing for somebody to test. But since I don't think we pick up that response at all, I have a feeling nothing really matters there. So let's see, yeah, that's the 3 endpoints. And a few more technical things. Snakes must respond with 200 OK statuses. Servers have 200 milliseconds to respond. So this is really important. If you're, oh, what about ping? I don't know what you mean by ping, but if that's a Twitch thing, this shows how old I am. Keep going! Let's see. This is fun. So this was, I mean, we've done a bunch of workshops and a bunch of... Oh, docs say you need to respond to ping. Interesting. I was not aware of that. I don't think I've seen the ping. I'm going to just go to docs of Battlesnake. Snake API. So this is where we would find some of this. The docs reference that you need to respond to /ping, or you can be removed from the game. Okay, so that is good to know. Let's see here. So the API, game turn board you. I'm not. Oh, post start. That's great. Post move, post end, post ping. Default response ignored. So it is here. It looks like we just haven't updated our docs yet. So I will maybe add a note to that. I think we're using the ping for something, something with the tournament when the tournament's running and just knowing whose games are still up and whether servers have gone down or not. So I think it makes sense. It is documented here in our docs. And if you wanted to find this on your own, the way you could do that is from docs.battlesnake.io. Snake API. I'm just gonna switch up this music. Not like that. There we go. Okay, so yeah, there's a bunch of logic things, because what happens is in this middle step here, post move, this is where you get the majority of the information. So, in fact, now that I have the docs open, signal end of game, take a turn with the game. So in this call, we're going to get the game, the ID, the turn that it is, the board, along with some width and height, coordinates of where food is going to be, so those are just going to be XY coordinates, and then snakes, which are going to be arrays of objects of these snake-like objects. So and this is where we start to look at some of the logic. So if we take a look here, we know, for instance, that the board is 15 by 15, and we know that this snake's body is, it looks like it just has the one segment, and it's the one segment at 1-3. And so, I mean, if I was drawing this out, I'm gonna just go to this one. You'd have a grid like shown in the chalkboard here, and numbers, you know, 15 columns in the 1-3, 1-3. It'd be around here, I guess. One thing to keep in mind about the board is that the XY, so this is X, and this is Y, and Y goes down. Y is not, I don't know if folks with graphing calculators or whatnot are going to expect Y axes to be positive, go up? I don't know. That's how it works. Yeah, so a couple things. With this snake here, let's take a look at this red snake. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I don't think the snake can move like that. I'm not really sure what was happening on these slides. There's some stuff around snakes moving. That's fun. So, I don't know, which way should the snake go? Say the snake is here, so I'm just going to count this out. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 by 10. So this is like a 7 or a 10, 7, 10, 8, something like that. And you're going to have those 3 coordinates, and then you're going to have to figure out which direction you want to return, whether that's up, down, left, or right. And I think for this snake, going down would actually be a really bad idea, because he'll just run into his own body and die. So these are some of the considerations when playing Snake. Yeah, so what else? Let's just take a look here. This is some stuff that I actually want to check out. I'm not super familiar with what our tournament rules are looking like this year, so... Boards will always be square. Okay, that's interesting. Boards last year's, they could be squares or whatever. Or sorry, they could be rectangles. They've always been some sort of rectangular shape, but square this year. Minimum of 2, maximum of 8 on one board, so that's good to know. Oh, 1 of 3 sizes even. When will the food spawn rules be announced? To be honest, one thing to give a heads up for is that I don't actually have a lot of like truly insider information doing this stream. I am as fresh to some of these rules as some of you folks, so I don't know. Soonish is what is being shared in the chat there. Yeah, soonish is the definitive answer from a member of my team. So there you go. Okay, so what's else? So yeah, boards have set sizes. That's fun. That's interesting. I didn't realize that was going to be the case this year. Starting positions are predetermined. This is probably super small on the stream too, isn't it? Like if you're looking at my whole screen, I'll enhance slightly. So illustrative starting point 7 by 7. Got a couple of points on here. What do these numbers coincide to? Oh, the starting points for the snake. So they're always going to start in certain key locations. And I think that's to keep the spacing with regards to like the edges of the boards and whatnot. So that makes sense. Oh look, food spawn rules. To be determined. The only thing I could kind of say about that is that in the past, food has come out at a pretty regular pace. So I don't know. I hadn't heard of any exciting plans. Who knows? It is a mystery. Turn mechanics. Okay, so the engine randomly appoints a snake to a starting position from the 8 predetermined starting points. That's great. Each snake is sent a start request, so you get that request that lets you... if you were storing some state for some reason on your own server, that would be a great place. Excuse me, that would be a great place to initialize a game and, you know, start some state there for a particular game maybe. I've only ever typically used it to send back my snake image. Each snake in parallel is sent a move request with the board, food, and snake information, so that's what I was looking at over here, so that's great. And then after all the snakes have returned their move decision, the engine will, for each snake, move it forward. And yeah, this is quite detailed here. The order of this operations is quite detailed. So it moves the head forward, it reduces health, checks if the snake ate, adjusts the health, removes the final body snake if it's moving forward. But this is interesting too, because this is really clear about when and where the different segments are happening. So I'm glad to find that. Dead snakes are sent the end request, and I guess that happens right away. Sounds like it. And if there are 2 or more snakes alive, go to step 3. So we have a snake still, and so they're sent the next request, and we cycle through that. And if there's a single snake alive, send the end request to it. So, yeah. And that, I guess, is the winner. So great. And then these are the deaths. And I sort of covered these in the slides. Let me just see. Starvation, head-on, self-collision, wall collision. These all make sense. I wonder if these map, though, also to... Because it looked... Snake self-collision, head collision. I think it's kind of cool that we have some of this information in here again, so I like that. I like piano music apparently.
It's 7:30.
There we go. Racing music instead. Okay. Okay, so we got some bracket stuff here. Let's see. Divisions. I don't know how much I want to go into all of this right now. I mean, it's good to know. It's definitely something that you'll want to know if you're coming day of. I like that there's so much information here, and we're still like 5 to 6 weeks out, so I don't know how much I need to go into this. Feel free to ask questions, though, if you have anything. I'm going to take a 2-minute break and just put up the be right back and just coordinate something, and I will be right back. Howdy. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, okay, so we were just talking, or I was just talking. I'm talking to myself mostly. Yeah, actually, just a couple of things, like a couple of folks in the chat who are acknowledging, saying thanks, no problem. I'm glad that it's helpful for you. If you have questions, feel free to put it in there. Put them in the chat. The other thing is that I'm gonna do more of these, a couple more. I'm thinking, actually, I made it through some of the API stuff pretty quickly tonight, and I might actually just jump straight into starting to like look at what it looks like to run some of this stuff. So, actually, bear with me. It's been a while since I live coded. Let's see here. So, I'm just going to go into my MISC folder here. This is where I'll store it. Enhance this slightly. Snake. Snake Town. How about that? Make dir Snake Town. So I don't know about you. I really like JavaScript. I'm good with JavaScript. I've been a front-end developer for a really long time. There's other languages that you can write your snake in anything. So if the fact that I'm taking the JavaScript route and maybe you're not interested in JavaScript, that's totally okay. This is a good segue here to the starter snakes. Yeah, so share a host of starter snakes to help you get started building your first snake to compete in the tournament. So the snakes respond to the basic moves. It sounds like we might want to add ping to some of these. Great, and we have some philosophy and a couple different things here. This one, starter snake's node written in Node.js. So this is a great option if you wanted to start with Node. What I like about the starter snakes that we have set up here is that we've got this deploy to Heroku button. So this is probably the easiest way to get rolling. If you have never done this before, what's happening here, I'll just go back to this. 4 years ago when I went to my first Battlesnake, I was actually really lost about this. So I'm just gonna talk for a second about this. Yeah, this screen is fine. Yeah, if you've never done Snake before, you've never played anything like this before, it might not be obvious to you how to figure out some of the figure out the logic that you're going to need to work in. I was kind of talking a little bit about like how on the board here at the end of the slides we had some examples here about like which direction you'd go. There's a lot of different ways we can do this. This is definitely not a solved problem. Oh yeah, but I was talking about this in the context of the starter snakes. You can use any language, and you just have to respond to HTTP requests. And so on HTTP requests, that's what I was going to just touch on. There's so many slides, and my computer's going so slow. Here we go. I touched on this earlier. So, and we were looking at this in the tournament game rules too, and I really like how much this is spelled out here. So when all these steps are going through, this is happening round by round, and every one of those requests that is being sent off to your server then is needing to respond to those requests. So challenge number one to somebody who's never done this before is, how do you have a server? How do you respond to a request? And so I just wanted to cover a little bit of that tonight. And so the way that I typically have done this in the past, I'm going to do this like totally simple, bare bones from scratch. So I have my Snaketown folder. I'm going to just npm init, save whatever. I'm not too concerned. I'm just going to use git also. These are just base things. I should clear out my history here. Initial attempt at creating a god was one of the commit messages from my snake last year, which I did not do successfully. Git commit -m. initial commit is fine. There we go. Okay, so I have this base package. There's nothing in this. So when I want to do a server in Node.js, typically I reach for Express. So I'm just gonna do this right now. Express. No, Express.js, not Express. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so this npm install save express. So this is how we can install express. Save that. Let's let that run for a second. I also remember here there's a really nice hello world. This hello world is great. Because it is the simplest example of responding to a request possible. And apparently everything in the world has to load for me to be able to highlight this. Okay, yeah. So there we go. I'm just going to use an index file. I'm not going to use TypeScript right now. Maybe in time for next week, we'll get some TypeScript going. We'll do some more, or for the next stream. I'll actually, in one of these streams, explore some of the snake tactics that I've tried to use in the past. I don't know if they're the best ones. And I should also warn you, I'm at no point going to talk about anything ML related, machine learning, training models, whatever. Some folks are doing some fun stuff with snakes on that level, and that's not going to be where I compete personally. At the core level, a lot of folks are just going to be writing these AIs. So let's see here. Let me paste that hello world. Great, okay, that worked. Yeah, so I'm just gonna take a look at the package JSON. So this was the snake town. So this was all just what I created with npm init a second ago. And since I've done the npm install express, it's added that one dependency. And the module here is just importing it. It is initializing an app by using this function is going to return an app, and then we can use that app instance down here to define the routes. And so this is defining that slash, we're going to send hello world. And then at the end of the program here, this is going to listen on a port and it's going to run that server. So this, let's run this. Node index, that's fine. So it looks like example app listening on, I should change that. I have a bunch of other stuff running in the background. On 3000, so I need to change that. Let's go 3003. I have a plugin that should be giving me some sort of like code hinting or whatever in Vim, and that's what that error is. So let's okay, let's take a look here. So yeah, if we run that program, now it's listening on 3003, and this is running on my local system, so I can go to localhost 3003, and if everything worked, it's going to return hello world. And so this is good. I'm going to leave this running here in this on this side, and I'm going to go look at that index file again. I'm really surprised with how slow everything is. I might actually do this. Other ways that I've experimented with streaming this has involved a virtual machine where I do all my coding in that instead of trying to code on Windows. But it actually might be worthwhile. Anybody in the chat intend to do some coding on Windows? It might actually be worthwhile doing it on stream, just so some folks have a chance to feel my pain a little bit. Okay, let's see here. So I'm not really talking about Battlesnake stuff here, but this was the first thing that I needed to unlock. I've written a little program here. All it has is the one dependency. It is importing Express, which is a library that's used in JavaScript land quite frequently. It's used for running web servers. And so Other programming languages like Python, I think, has Flask, and you can go right up to like higher end frameworks like Django. I think you get more like data models and users and stuff like that with that. This is super simple, bare bones. We're just going to define a route. But like if I copy this line and I go here and I say, you know, I have a, well, for instance, with our Battlesnake, our snake has to respond to a move request eventually. So I'm not actually going to like, this response should probably be something different, but I'm just going to response. Let's do, it has to be text for now. Let's just say this is a move. Save that, and then I have to restart the program. This is just a node thing.
It's 7:45.
Cool. So it's running. So here we are going to the home path, and we're getting that hello world still. This still works. I'm refreshing a few times. You can probably hear my keyboard clicking a little bit. And if we go to /move, this is a move. So what's happened here, I have too many tabs. What's happened here is that we've written a little server and it's responding to a request at a particular endpoint. And so this is what we have to do to get to a snake that's going to respond to these particular requests. This is how we're going to get to the snake that is going to respond to a move. So if we look again here at redoc, let's see, I want to give a good example. Example, start of game. So at the start of game, we're going to get a JSON thing, and we're going to have to respond with color, it looks like. And that needs to be in JSON. So there's a couple of things that we could do with that. I mean, one step is you want to parse a move. So here, I'll just expand this. So what we've been doing here with the app.get is we're responding to GET requests. If you have never looked at what different HTTP requests are all about, this is probably something that we should cover briefly. I won't go into huge details. There's a couple of common methods. HTTP methods, I think, is probably... yeah, so there's a bunch of common methods, GET being one of the more common ones. GET, POST, PUT, DELETE are used a lot in REST, if I recall correctly. And the GET method, you don't typically send any arguments with it. It's just going to send to a particular path, and you're going to get some data back from that. I love that I just like randomly Googled something to get some information for the stream here. A POST method, though. Let's see. Jumping around a bit. So I think if we were looking earlier at this, all of these endpoints are POST requests, and that's because a POST request is actually going to send along a payload with it. In this case, I'll copy this. Yeah, okay, so it's just W in chat was mentioning if you use NodeMon, you don't need to restart your node server every time, and that's actually a super useful tip, and that's actually useful enough that I might go and do that right now. I just copied this from the docs. I just wanted to see it outside of the docs. This is an example of what the JSON would look like. Set file type equals JSON. A little bit better formatting there. So there's two things that we need to do. NodeMon is great because it'll allow us to keep from having to continually restart our server. And then the other thing we're going to need to do is we need to parse requests somehow. We need to be able to get back the information that is being posted to us. And it's not too hard with Express. So I'll cover how to do it with Express tonight. If anyone has specific questions about how to do it with other programming languages, this is why we have some of the starter snakes, so that you don't necessarily need to worry about these particulars. But these are good details to go into, so let me cover it. I'm just gonna go back to this window. So here's where I had the window running, and every time I make a change over here, I'm gonna have to go over here again and restart the server. And this is a good tip. I'm just gonna get out of there. npm install nodemon. I totally forget the API, but I think I can just use it as like an npm script. So we get to learn briefly about npm scripts. It's just W mentions it's nodemon, and then it's coming out as deleted link, but I think that's just like nodemon the command. Yeah. Which I'm surprised, this is taking a while to install. I don't use npm a lot. That might be why. My cache is super not primed right now, so it's just installing everything. Okay, yeah, here we go. So npm install nodemon. I didn't specify which type, but I think it's probably just a normal dependency now. Just check here, yeah. So what I'll do, I like actually using this with a script, so I'll do a script like start nodemon int. Do I need nodemon node index.js or just nodemon index.js? Let's comma there. I don't need this. Just nodemon? Like so? I don't know if you're going to tell me before I'm actually going to just try this. npm run start. Address in use. That's because I still had it running in this other tab. So npm run start. I probably didn't need the index.js is what you're saying, it's just W. Probably just nodemon totally by itself, not the index would be perfect. Great, let's do it. It's simple. There we go. Nodemon. And as we can see here, when I'm saving in this file, it's starting automatically, so that's good. And then I can just go to my index.js, edit anyways, actually. There we go. This is an awesome move. So I'll just update that note here. It's starting automatically. And I can look at my move request, and it's updating automatically. So that's perfect, and that's actually a big thing. I'm glad that you mentioned it because it always comes up in the first year. Folks that are just building snakes for the first time might not understand just how annoying it is. So yeah, I'm glad we covered that. Cool. Okay, so that's nodemon. That makes local dev just a little bit easier. Right, so the other thing I was going to talk about is just around getting the data into your request. And this is where I've always just suggested folks take a look at a tool called Insomnia. Here is what Insomnia does. Another tool that is like Insomnia is called Postman. It lets you send requests in the browser. Another actual option is curl. Curl is super cool, and I totally do not know curl. I do not know all the curl commands to properly do it justice. So right now what I'll just show is this. It's similar to like a browser. I can put in a request here. I can go to move. I can send. This is an awesome move. What's nice about this is that I can much more easily switch to post and start adding a JSON body here. It's not going to do anything because we're not responding to a post right now, but this is at least making sure that we're sending along this right request. And this is all like troubleshooting, snake testing stuff. You don't actually, if you are building your own snake on day of, you don't need NodeMon to do it. You don't need to use Node or Insomnia or any of these tools. These are just options. This is the really cool thing about Battlesnake, is that the challenge has just a lot of different ways that you can go about it. So I think that's really cool. I'm jumping around a bit. Let's see, what are we doing here? We want to parse a request. So again, this is gonna be, I'm just gonna do this totally newbie style here. I'm gonna just express parse JSON. This is a pretty common thing. How do I Stack Overflow? I don't know if I want to Stack Overflow. What I was looking for is that body parser module, which it looks like it's mentioned here. I think this is all. Let's just go to the module I was looking for, body parser. This was at one time, this was actually part of Express. This is another thing of like, if you're using this library, you're gonna have to understand the API a little bit. So this is the Express API. So I'm gonna install body parser. Let's see. I should probably be npm install save dev. This is fine. Battlesnake is fun. We can do whatever. Okay, we have body parser. So the next thing, let's go back into Vim here. We had this, and just looking at the instructions, we import the module. So I'll do that first. The body parser exposes various factory functions. Yeah, if I recall correctly, app.use body parser.json. So this will just make sure that the body parser, the JSON body parser, is always in there. So if I see, we're importing it, and we're just adding it. Body parser JSON. So this is a thing in Express. App.use will, you can pass this. I think it's a standard Express plugin format. Or sorry, not plugin, middleware format. So they take a couple of default arguments. Request and response being the main ones. I think this is a better example here. You get a function which gets request and response, and then you can do things with it. Bad description. Body parser, JSON, it is installed, it is used there. And let's create a route. App.post to, well, another space that we're gonna need. We know start actually is gonna have some stuff. So start, that's gonna take a function, which is gonna do the request and response. Actually, I don't want to just response.send, but I'll leave that for a second. So this is where it needs to be a little something more, I think. I think we need to... I mean, let's just break this and see what happens. I don't need this one. There we go. And let's just try this. Console log. I love console logging things to make sure that it works. Well, console log route was hit. And we'll save that, and the server's restarting. And this time I'm going to use Insomnia for this. And so move, post doesn't work, but we wanted to, we're posting to start now. Let's see. Okay, so first thing, this is fun. This also happens a lot to folks that have never written Battlesnakes before. We've sent a request to the server, but what's happened here is that the server's not actually doing anything with the response. So in other examples here, you'll see we response.send, so response.send hi. And yeah, so here we got this error because the server never responded. If we send this again, this time we get the hi back, and also you'll note here the route was hit. So this was the console log that I put in, and that's good. So that shows that we hit that route. We're hitting this path of code. Our console log is being hit. If I do this multiple times, it's being hit multiple times. So this is good. We've verified a couple things. So let me see here. The last thing I want to do, we haven't verified yet where that data is. Let's see, response. I think it adds the. I think body parser adds it to the request object.
It's 8 o'clock.
In fact, I'm gonna almost guarantee that it's just request body. Let's try it. So in my demo here, I was sending some requests. Yeah, okay, this worked. So the route was hit, and my console log now is updating with some of that JSON. And how did this JSON get in here? I sent it via the post request. So, quick recap. Why is this important? We have a server now that is responding to requests. We've been able to parse some requests. Using NodeMon has been really useful because it means that we are able to restart our server and work in local dev and iterate more quickly on it. So this is good. This gets us started with a lot of things. I'm going to take another short break, another 5 minutes, and then I'll be right back and we'll talk about a few more things before wrapping up for the evening. So, yeah, I'll see you in a minute.
Tonight. We can drive it like this. We can drive it like that. We can drive it any way that we want to. We can drive it like this. We can drive it like that. We can drive it any way that we want to. Yo, rolling through London, separated from the pack. Me and mommy pretty much now own the track, and she loving it. Every corner's a drift that she's earning kudos. She's throwing me a kiss. I'm tail chasing. All I see is a red lights. Hypnotized like a deer caught in the headlights. She knows the moves for a freaky night, baby. Hairpin to an easy ride, maybe. Chick is crazy on the throttle and the gear stick. Slipstream and leave you at the back somewhere near sick. She don't care about the car you came here with. Don't press the pedal if you can't steer quick. Cause it ain't how fast you drive, it's how you drive fast. So she's feeling my flow, it's how I rhyme, boss. Yeah, she maneuvers alright, senorita, let's get it on tonight. You can love me like this, you can love me like that. You can love me any way that you want to. You can love me like this, you can love me like that. You can love me any way that you want to. 1 to the 2 to the 2 to the 3. Baby, 1 to the 2 to the 2 to the 3. Baby, do you wanna come cruising?
Well, hello, hey. Just switching back here to my desktop. I'm back. Thanks for giving me a short break. It's always good to stop and hydrate in between all this talking at my screen. Kind of bummed that my camera's not working tonight. I'm gonna have to experiment with that. We'll get it all working in time for the next one. I'm gonna be doing more of this. So there was a comment in the chat while I was away, just about will there be any meetings or streams for people who are interested in using machine learning for their snake. So I can tell you, stream-wise, I'm not going to be touching that. I would love it if somebody else wanted to stream something around that. I would totally watch that stream. I think the space of like using machine learning to program snakes is still being charted by some folks. Like, I don't know how well established it is. We do have some exciting, how to put this? There might be some options in the future. We're definitely thinking about it. So, like, I don't think that ML is ruled out at all. Definitely go that direction if you want to. But I think a lot of folks will just be starting. I can tell you that there's like a huge ceiling to just like programming your own snake logic. Yeah. So it won't be on a stream. Here's your definitive answer. One of the advanced meets might touch on it, and we'll definitely announce it when that's going to happen. So there you go. I'm Burton Man, or I'm Burtman. I'm sorry, I'm getting your name wrong. If it's helpful, you can call me Jembajukes. And yes, that joke would have worked better if you could have seen my ridiculous face. Yeah, so, okay, I just wanted to cover one more thing tonight. So we started super high level with, like, what is Battlesnake? It's a competition. We touched a little bit on just, like, what it's like to run a snake. You're gonna have to code a server that is gonna respond to HTTP requests. And this is really good stuff to learn. If you are new to computer science at all and you haven't done HTTP requests, it's definitely useful. It's used a lot everywhere. All web stuff is heavy HTTP requests. It's definitely something to cover. What else? There was one more thing though. Here's the thing. So this snake right now is really awesome, but it's just on our local server, on our local computer here. So when I'm going to HTTP localhost, I think also if you are on most computers, 127.0.0.1 works also for localhost. That's just localhost or the 127 or whatever. That's all just a way of referring to your own computer. This server is running on my system here. If I press this to like end the command, it's gonna stop running. And so what happens when it stops running is I start sending requests and it can't connect. For the competition, we actually need our snake to be running on a real server somewhere. And so this is where typically, this is why I really like that our starter snakes, where were they? This is why I really like that all of the starter snakes, or at least the couple that I was looking at, had the deploy to Heroku button. Because it just basically makes it one click to get your stuff onto Heroku. Let me just take a look here though. What does it take? I'm such an old person. I'm like not. I'm Googling and then clicking the first term. I would say don't tell anyone, but then I'm also streaming this to the world, so whatever. So I know that I have a Heroku account. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna log in. If you don't have a Heroku account, you can make them free. I'm just gonna do something. You can still hear me, right? I'm just covering the screen so that you can't see as I type in some credentials. Heroku. I used to be signed into this and I would look at this like daily, and now it has been at least a couple months since I've been on Heroku itself, so, or since I've signed in this way. Where is password manager? Don't forget that nobody can see your screen. Well, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jem. I just misnamed myself. Okay, so here we go. Not starting soon. Sorry, here we go. I'm not quite done. Never mind. I'm just gonna go back to the title. You get to see me in all my glory. Google Auth, because you're 2FA. I have a lot of 2FA codes apparently. There we go. Putting in my 2FA. Okay, there we go. So, and here's the desktop again. Which piece? Password manager. You know what? I loved KeePass, and I was a KeePass user for a long time. I was a super holdout. And then I one day eventually switched to what is it? I'm using 1Password now. So it's pretty nice. It's got like one hotkey to throw it up. So anyways, I logged into Heroku here, and it looks like I have a bunch of old stuff here, projects, things that I've not done a lot of work with in a while. Cuban Bow, that was one of my snakes from last year. I'm just gonna full on create a new app. I don't know how hard this is. Jam snack. That seems good. This seems great. Okay, so I have it, and then deploy Heroku. So this is how we can do it here. I actually just like to connect it to Git. The advantage of this is that you can, if you are working with a group of people, then you can work with pull requests and all of the stuff that merges into master, just have it automatically deploy from master to GitHub. It depends on what your workflow. The other way of doing this is with the Heroku git command here. And let's see, it looks like I have to install the Heroku command line tool. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it with GitHub. What do I need here? I need to push my code up to GitHub first. So this is a mess, but I'm going to do it. Git status, nope. Because I don't have a git ignore all of those node modules, so I'm just gonna, this is bugging me. Perfect. And let's just save this. We respond to things. This is not the sort of commit message that I would regularly encourage, but I'm good with it for now. And then I'm gonna also create a remote on GitHub. Let's see here. I need a different window again. Just 1 second. Yeah, Aldman123, using KeePass. Have you ever tried anything outside of KeePass? That is my question for you. So I'm just loading a different browser here. We got a bunch of stuff going on. Don't look at my previous tabs. What I wanted here is GitHub. This is just my personal browser. LastPass. LastPass is a good one too. Free and open source, you can't usually beat that, so I'm totally with you there. I like it. The reason I'm using 1Password is I got a free license. So if it wasn't initially free, I probably wouldn't have done it. GitHub now looks all different to me too. I'm not familiar with this, but let's go create a new repo.
It's 8:15.
So this is, I'm signed in as Jem Bijou. This is my account that I have, my one that's associated with the Node Foundation and whatnot. I have fewer commits and stuff on here since we moved a bunch of our work stuff to other accounts. Not that I care that much. Maybe I do. Yeah, I wanted a new repo. I don't care about the status, thank you though. So I'm gonna call this 2019 Snake. Coded live on Twitch. Something like that. That sounds good. And public is fine. I don't care if folks see this. We don't need a README. We don't need any of these other things because we're actually just gonna link this to the code that I'm already writing there. So Git always gives me these instructions. This is the ones that I want. Go back to my command line. So what I'm doing here is I initialize the project with Git just so that I would have some ability with version control. What this means is if I screw something up badly, I can always switch back to a previous revision of my code. It's also another tool that I strongly advise everyone looking at. You don't need it though to write Battlesnake. It's helpful with collaborating on code. So, and I just pushed to my branch here. So let's see, nodemon I don't need. Git. Oh, that's because I had the other window. There we go. Yeah, so if we refresh this page now, 2019 Snake. So this has some of my code, index.js. So I think there was still one more step though, because I think if we deploy it to GitHub, so I'm gonna choose my 2019 Snake. I'm playing music in VLC. So just shout out to the music selection tonight. It is all music from OCR Remix, and I am using it so that I can put the recording of this on YouTube and not deal with other music having me taken down. So just in case anyone is wondering what these sort of video game-like tracks, what they're coming from. Okay, let's see. Here's what I was doing. 2019, I want to search. I have a snake. I'm connecting. This is a Castlevania track. I don't know if that's obvious. Okay, so it's released to the activity link, and then automatic deploys from master, enable automatic. I think there's still one thing I'm missing. I think Heroku, let's see. Run a Heroku app. So the cool thing is, I've linked this to GitHub. We saw that the request was working locally earlier. This is a bit off the cuff, but I want to see if I can connect to this remotely. This will be the last thing that we do tonight just to verify that this is working. Open app. So this is Snake Heroku app. And it's just a welcome page. So this is clear to me that I've missed a step because we did have at least the base, like the hello world page there. So let's just take a look. Node. As you can see, Heroku supports all these other languages. The process with other languages is going to be similar. And again, you don't have to use Heroku. You could use AWS, Google Cloud. You could use other hosting providers. You could write PHP scripts and use just like a regular, everyday, like WordPress hosting if you really wanted to, or like PHP style hosting. I don't know if I would advise going that route, but it's totally up to you. So let's see, getting started, best practices. I think I just want getting started. Prepare the app. So they have, here it is, define a proc file. So what the proc file does, this is something specific to Heroku. It's just basically saying that Heroku is going to run a process, and we're defining what that process is. So here we're saying we're going to run this web process. Let's see here. So I'll just save this. Oh, actually, was that the command that I used? I can't remember. Node index, I think. We don't need nodemon here. Nodemon's useful in local dev, but yeah, node index sounds great. So git add, I'm just gonna commit. And I'm gonna push that up back to master. If I've done some things correct, I don't know if this is gonna get us all the way there, but we're getting very close now. Okay, so I know what a proc file is. I have it. We don't have to worry about scaling, about dependencies. The nice thing about Heroku is that Heroku is really smart. It's just going to read the dependencies that are already in the package JSON. So the conventions that we're used to with node packages are all pretty much going to carry over. I'm going to skip this part also. Add-ons, console, etc. I don't know if... Let's take a look here. Deployed? Does this mean it's going to run? The other thing I found is that sometimes this takes a little while. It isn't showing the initial page. The fact that this is taking so long makes me think I'm still missing something. So let's take a look here. View logs. Okay, yeah, so we have a port listening on port 303. I think what's happening here, so another thing this is specific to Heroku, is that we were listening on port 303, but that network request, we're not specifying 303, and I don't actually think we're able to specify the port here. So what we really need to do, I think we need to just use like an environment variable. Here's how we do this. Okay, so I think you have to start on port 8080. Do I think I can use process.env.port. Process.env.port like that. And then when you're calling the command, you go port equals, so I've done something like this before. I'm just gonna try this. npm start. So if this runs on port 8001, so what's happening is it's getting that value, so that's good. And then I think that's enough. I think Heroku will be smart about using the port. So git add. This is just Heroku being smart about using that. Let's give it a second. So we push back up, and again, what I love about this is I've committed, and now I push master, and so this is pushing that code to GitHub, and then GitHub is triggering a hook within Heroku here, and what's going to happen is it's going to start another build. Let's see. Yeah, so here we go. We got the other builds that are starting. And this is great for folks that are, if you have a small team and you haven't done this before, this video will get you rolling, I think. So, okay, cool. So it is deployed, compare diff. Let's open those logs again, view logs. Deployed, starting process. We have a port it's listening on. This is the random port that Heroku's given it, but I think what that means, I think they just deal with that. Hello world, we got it. And let's see, we had a move where we were saying this is an awesome move. So this is on the internet. This is at https gemsnick.herokuapp.com. I don't know how easily you can see that small text there, but like this is everything we need. So if you were going to go to, I think the website is play.battlesnake.io. you now have everything you need to get started. So you would put in your name, you'd put in the URL of your snake, and the URL of your snake is everything up until the end of .com in this case. Whereas the endpoints are the /move/API, or sorry, /move/start/end. Those are the three, and /ping, I guess, is that fourth one. So yeah, like my server right now is not going to respond to a ping. There's nothing there, and the post request that I send to this, we're not doing anything smart with it. So there's definitely a few steps for us to cover. I think on the next video we'll get into like talking about some of the logic. The one thing I'll tell you up front is that you don't actually have to do anything with pathfinding or anything. Like there's a lot you can do just by like figuring out how to avoid walls or avoid hitting yourself. So I would start by exploring the docs. If this is your first time building things, get into this docs.battlesnake.io site in particular is really useful because you've got the starter snakes. You've got the documentation of these different calls that you need to make and some example JSON here. So yeah, I think this was a good starting session. I'm glad we covered the things that we did tonight. And I'll figure out my technical difficulties and get everything else rolling in time for next time. Yeah. We still have a minute or two. I'm just going to leave it open for a question if anyone has any. And otherwise, I'm gonna start working, I think, on getting some of the stream stuff ready to go. I haven't done this in a little while, so I'm totally rusty on my Twitch stuff, and I know there's some panels that I gotta get up, but I've been meaning to do more of this. So thank you for tuning in for tonight and joining me as I stumble through this. Yeah, we'll do more. Let me know if you have questions. You can always email me, gem@hitmedia.ca. Will there be any Java-related tutorials? We do have a Java starter snake for sure. I don't know if we have tutorials that are focusing on somebody who is going to be building that. But having said that, feel free to ask us questions. A lot of the questions about like how we get a lot of questions just about like how to work with the data, and that will work across many different languages. So. If I teach you how to, code all the things is my boss. He says he'll also do a stream sometime, so that's great. And actually, the final stream before we get started, so there's a bit of schedule here. Actually, let's do this. Battlesnake.io. I love the idea of Will doing a stream. Let's go to this events page. So here we're listing a bunch of events. So yeah, we have a ton of tutorials. There's lots of opportunities to engage with this stuff beforehand. I know in years past, like I said, 4 years ago when I went to my first one, I was like totally lost with how to set up a server. So we're trying to cover some of those things. We had a meetup the other day. This was some of the streaming tutorial tonight. Let me see here. So I'm going to do the next streaming tutorial in about 2 weeks, and then there's going to be another streaming tutorial that is like, this is going to be just a couple nights before the event. The Battlesnake this year is March 2nd, so this is like the Wednesday before that. And I'm going to actually have some folks with me on that night doing some live Q&A and answering some questions. So that'll be definitely a good one to catch. With that, my music is dying down. I am going to use this moment to sign off. So thanks for watching, and feel free to email me, gem@hitmedia.ca, or you can reach out to anybody in the Battlesnake Slack or on my Twitch stream or any of the other ways. And I'll talk soon. Thanks, all. Bye.